everyone, and welcome to the SSPI Podcast by Space and Satellite Professionals International. I'm Tamara Bond-Williams, Executive Director of SSPI. This episode is part of our Space and Satellite Futures track, conversations with the people and organizations shaping the next generation of our industry. From workforce development to new markets, these are the stories about how the future is being built. Today, we're welcoming one of SSPI's newest corporate members, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, led by President and CEO Victor Hoskins. Fairfax County, Virginia, is home to some of the world's most influential technology and aerospace companies, including Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Meta, Blue Origin, and the Aerospace Corporation. Under Victor's leadership, FCEDA, I don't know how we say that, but let's go with FCEDA, has generated more than $3 billion in investment and helped create more than 54,000 high-tech jobs. Now, as a new member of SSPI, the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority is turning its attention skyward, exploring how regional innovation ecosystems can drive the global space economy. Victor, welcome to the SSPI Podcast.
Tamara, thank you so much. So glad to be here today.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to have this conversation, Victor, because we've had relationships in the past with economic development councils, but they've been very sporadic and I want to say haphazard. I think that's a better way to put it. Very haphazard. And so I'm really hoping that we learn a little bit more about what your thinking is about taking the time to become a member of SSPI. But let's start from the beginning. So you've already had a reputation as one of the top technology and innovation hubs in the United States. Why now join the space and satellite sector?
Well, first of all, Tamara, it is so exciting to see what's going on in space just in general. But the thing is, Fairfax County and really Northern Virginia, and I would dare say the entire DC region is a truly unique place for the space economy. It's the perfect combination of assets, partnerships, public-private nonprofits, educational institutions, talent, and investment capital, which fuels our startups and also helps us connect with our Fortune 500 companies. I mean, we have assets like we have a cluster of 150 space companies right now in Fairfax County. The interesting thing is in the last 3 years, 100 of those have either moved here or expanded. And
Wow.
they include Hawkeye 360. The Aerospace Corporation came all the way from El Segundo, California. So we have a deep technology ecosystem. In addition to that, we have 20,000 tech firms in Fairfax. We have about 10,000 of these companies that really focus on what I would call deep tech. And then we have this proximity to the world's largest customer, which is the U.S. federal government. And then, of course, there are assets in our region like NASA, the Department of Defense, the U.S. Space Force, the Mid-Atlantic Spaceport at Wallops Island in Southern Virginia. These all are the assets that help us really, I believe, position ourselves to take advantage of the growth in this industry. And I don't have to tell you how much the industry has grown over the years. And then partnering with SSPI, Fairfax County Economic Development gains access to the top industry leaders and international visibility that really strengthen our ability to help grow the space economy and the space ecosystem in the Northern Virginia region.
Yeah. Okay. I see now why you are so successful is because you have such clarity of vision. So thank you very much for laying that all out for us. And yes, right, you're in a very unique place in the Mid-Atlantic region here in the United States, because like you said, right, in terms of who's funding space and satellite companies broadly, The United States government really is like top dog in terms of customers. And so it is a really special space. But having said that, what I'm really, really amazed at is that, like you said, companies are actually moving to Fairfax. They've had these relationships all along. The Aerospace Corporation didn't. I mean, it's an old company, and they've been in California forever. What do you think is driving them to actually make that transition specifically now?
Well, I believe that what's going on is that Northern Virginia and Fairfax in particular has this ability to connect the workforce, the universities, and businesses that are really take advantage of these emerging opportunities in satellite communications and aerospace and next generation technologies. These economic development organizations and like mine, we really focus on building bridges between the new space economy and and it's beyond recruiting companies. It's really trying to build an entire ecosystem where we're helping connect the dots for industry. I think one of the things that happens, if you want to mark a point where I think a shift happened, I would say when I was in Arlington County before coming to Fairfax County, and while I was there, we managed to recruit a number of companies, Nestle, Gerber, Grant Thornton, a lot of corporations. But the really big win was Amazon HQ2. When Amazon HQ2 made that decision to invest $4 billion in Arlington County, it didn't just affect Arlington County, it affected the whole region. Yeah. Because at the same time, our state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, invested $500 million to match $500 million on a Virginia Tech campus right near Amazon HQ2 and George Mason University Tech campus. They invested $250 million to co-invest with it, $250 million from the private sector, and to create those two campuses. So we created these pipelines. Now, this started all in 2018 when the decision was made, but it's been built over time. Both physical buildings are built, the Virginia Tech campus and the George Mason Tech campus. And during the last 3, 4, 5 years, we've been helping those, not just Fairfax, but also all the economic development people in the region have been connecting businesses to the educational institution and to the government opportunities and to partnering potential companies. And I think that's really, that alchemy is just now rising to surface, and it's spilling over throughout the region. I mean, this is happening also in parts of Maryland and even parts of DC.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not jealous at all. Okay, I'm just, so when you finish doing all sorts of amazing things in Fairfax County, I think we're recruiting you to New York.
Okay, all right, I look for it.
Yeah, well, because let me share, right? So we have something called the New York Space Business Roundtable, and part of what we're doing with that content effort and community effort is trying to make sure that we start connecting the dots inside of the state of New York. Because there's a lot of space activity in the state, but they're not connected. They're kind of hidden. They're different kinds of, they're not like the splashy launch pads. It's not that, right. But there's a lot of manufacture in the state. There's always, of course, investment in the state. And getting the state to actually recognize the potential and to lock in and think about what you just said, right? How do we build pathways? How do we create the ecosystem? We'd love for our Economic Development Council to grasp hold of this concept. What advice would you give to states like mine or to regions where space is present but very fledgling? What advice would you offer?
Well, one of the things that I would do is I would suggest that they map the assets, their space assets. Just put them physically on a map and look at them. A lot of people, you just said it, there are manufacturers. They probably manufacture parts to satellites. They probably manufacture satellites. They may be involved in helping create part of the structure for propulsion. I mean, there are all these different pieces of space that are done around our country and brought together, but very few people like sit down and map them. We have actually mapped the assets. We've mapped all the assets in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in DC, and in Maryland. And we showed this to officials in all three jurisdictions as we talk about space. Because what we help them realize, and I think that, so the first thing I would do is I would map it. So that I think that's really important. And also to understand that we're talking about a $1.8 trillion industry in the next 7 years, 10 years. It's a huge industry. So there's all this market opportunity. You map the assets, but most importantly, people need to realize this, that data, AI, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, sustainability, all of these things are actually part of space right now.
Yeah.
When we did we do a Quantum World Congress every year in Northern Virginia. And in the one this year, I remember, actually, no, this was last year. Last year, IBM made a big announcement about the quantum research that they were doing, where they were communicating, they were experimenting with entangling, gosh, I need to get off the language. They were experimenting with quantum technology in a satellite and on Earth and tying them together for communications purposes.
Yeah, you
was
have the language right, entanglement. Yeah.
So that whole process of really understanding that it's not just rockets. It's not just propulsion. It's not just energy. It's not just scientists. By the way, there are going to be electricians in space. There are going to be people who build stuff in space. And this is what we're trying to help people realize. It's much, much larger. And by the way, there are steps to get there. We have a group working in our region called Earth to Mars Capital. And what they do is they focus on companies that are looking at building energy plants on Mars and using those energy plants as fueling stations to send rockets to on the moon, and using that as a base to send rockets to Mars. So there are all of these different kind of pieces of space that people don't realize are important. I mean, there's this whole thing of harvesting H3 hydrogen, which is very rare on Earth, but it's very plentiful on the moon. And there are people now paying for people to mine that for them. I mean, it is really an incredible set of factors that are going on. And there are people working on propulsion. There was this one a guy I talked to about going to Mars. And I said, it takes 9 months to go to Mars. He said, Victor, it only takes 9 months to go to Mars because most of the time they're coasting. He said, if it could be constant propulsion the entire way, it would take 2 weeks.
Wow.
Okay. So Tamara, for me, that blew my mind. But it's realizing that it is more than just rocket ships. It's more than just people doing spacewalks. That it's more than just the people with the PhDs going to space. Hey, listen, I think there were like 5 women that went up. I think only one of them had a PhD.
That's right.
So you don't need a PhD to go to space, which wasn't the truth. When I was very, very young, and they first started, humans, orbiting Earth and, the International Space Station and all that business. But the point I'm trying to make is that other states can do exactly what we're doing, but take a different part of the market. So that's what we've done. We've actually identified a piece of the market that we're going to pursue, and it doesn't conflict with the Space Coast down in Florida, by the way, which is really mature. And if they're going to be serious about it, they need to go down they need to talk to the people from the Space Coast, because those guys, they've been at it. They've been at it from the beginning, because that's where Cape Canaveral is, and that's where all the big stuff happens.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, this is exciting stuff, and this is why I want to have this conversation. Bringing that economic development eye to the process, and I sent you a whole list of questions, and they all make sense. They're really good questions and everything. But I'm totally not asking any of these questions. just have so many other questions. I'm like, wow. I mean, because when you think about economic development, right, a state makes those kinds of investments because it's creating economic development in the state. It's not just, oh, hey, we want these
Right.
businesses. It's that
Right.
it benefits the state. So, okay, let me lean into one of the questions as an example. So,
Yeah.
like you actually launched a talent pipeline that's trained staff for thousands of jobs in the area. And so that's workforce development, right? So what can we learn from your work in actually as what does it look like for all of this effort with the space industry and your work of attracting the business into the region? What does that look like for the state of Virginia or even just for Fairfax County?
Yes, yes. So I'll talk about both the state and our county and our region because they're all interrelated. So we launched the Tech Talent Pipeline right at COVID, by the way, and believe it or not, April of 2020 was when we
Wow.
opened our digital hub. It's a digital hub. And the reason I say it's a digital hub because it includes not just all the jobs available in our region. Right now, there are 48,000 openings in our region. 23,000 of those are in Fairfax County. So the reality is, we have the lion's share of most of the openings. So we wanted a place where people could find the jobs. The talent could find jobs quickly. So that was the first thing. And these are updated every week. So there's a service that we have that pulls this data every week, and it's not replicated, and it's not Indeed where you have to register and all of that. You can go right on it and go after jobs. So the first thing was to bring all the jobs together. The second thing was, since it was COVID, is to bring the people together. And so what we did in May, we actually approached 15 universities, and we asked them for help us connect with their rising seniors, with people who've been out of school 3 years, and we were going to connect them to companies. We recruited about 35 companies, and our first virtual career fair had like 500 people attend online. It was fantastic. We were so thrilled. Okay. Fast forward today. Today we have 2,000 to 2,500 people attend our in-person career fairs.
Wow.
We hold them over 2 days. We hold them. We now categorize them. We do them for military in transition. We will do them for cyber. People who have been involved in cyber and cyber certified and cyber experience. Or cyber background. We do it for university students. So we've kind of categorized them. We kind of broken them out more specifically, which has really helped our companies. We now work with 17,500 companies.
Jeez.
We've gone from working with the 15 universities, and I think 7 of them were historically Black colleges. We now work with 100 universities, 40 of them historically Black colleges. So we're working with universities all over the United States. My alma maters, MIT and Dartmouth. So we really go after the talent because we want the talent here. But we also work regionally. There's 60 universities in our region alone, and we work with all of them. Virginia State. We work with Bowie State. We work with Howard University. We work with George Washington University. We work with Virginia Tech. We work with University of Virginia, George Mason University. So we work with them. And a lot of times we're able to, because we're so close, we're able to do very specific things for very specific industries. But it all started with this idea of economic development is more than just marketing to companies. It's solving the company's problem. They have a problem finding talent. We bring them the talent. And we've added one level to that, which is, and I have to thank my partners in the region, it's called talentcapital.ai. So our website, this digital hub of ours, which has all these resources, reskilling, upskilling, all the jobs available, that site is now under an umbrella called Talent Capital AI, which has all of the job sites of the region under it. And
Wow.
you can go to this AI engine, you can ask it prompts, and it will guide you to the job. Because what we were finding is people would get on our website and there's 48,000 jobs. That's a lot to wade through. And even with a
Yeah.
search engine, it's difficult to wade through. So what happened was this group Build Within, Jimena, she is such an incredible person. I've worked with her 4 years. I helped her with her first startup. I helped her, after she sold her company and started another company. She dedicated her team to get this done. So now we have this for the whole region. So anyone that's in the DC region right now, or anyone interested in coming to the greater DC region, that's Northern Virginia, suburban Maryland, DC, anybody's willing to come can access the 120,000 jobs across the region. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were graduating from college, or if I were interested in career switching, or I was interested in doing something new and different, I think I'd check it out because it's free. There's no fees, and all of our in-person events are free. All of our virtual events are free. And by the way, this AI agent, Celeste, she will also counsel you. She'll help you revise your resume. It's fantastic. It is it's something that we dreamed of, but really, really, Jimena made it happen, and I'm just so proud of her. She's just an incredible person.
You are listening to The Better Satellite World, the longest-running continuous podcast in the commercial space and satellite industry. The Better Satellite World podcast is funded by the corporate partners of SSPI, Hughes, Access Intelligence, the American Space Exploration Fund, and Qvia. Have you heard about SBQ? Space Business Qualified is a popular online learning program for industry professionals designed by JSOA, SSPI, and SatProf. To learn more, visit spacebq.org. And now back to The Better Satellite World.
Wow. That's so hopeful because, the story of the last few years and going forward even is just, how challenging it is for recent graduates to find employment and to find their way, especially now and the threat, of course, of AI removing the need for certain jobs. Mm-hmm. It's actually a little scary, right? So it's very hopeful to hear that there is a hub of activity where there's jobs available. And what you're making me think about is just the potential of the space and satellite industry as it grows and matures into these new arenas of creating jobs that didn't exist before. Are you seeing that?
That's exactly what's happening. You just articulated precisely what is happening. Before I go to that, let me finish up on the talent, because I didn't treat it all, but I would really like to, because I think it's so important, and I hope that other places imitate this because they have jobs there, they have talent there. I mean, if I could grow all my talent, I'd be happy. I'd love for their people. I'm sure they'd love for their people to stay where they are. But what we found is that you got to do a little bit more work. And one of my board members, her name is Kathy Lang. She works in the industry of talent. She works with CEOs. She coaches them. She helps companies. She's been doing this for many years. She actually insisted that we do a K through 12 program. And I got to tell you something. It was obvious to me how we would work with veterans. We hired a veteran. He goes to Fort Belvoir. He goes to all the bases around. He sits in these sessions and help these veterans in transition that were like him, helping them redo their resumes, et cetera. And we understood universities. We hired a student just graduating from university who had a tough time finding a job. And that person really helped us shape that. And that's why we're with 100 universities now. But K through 12, I got to tell you, that was a showstopper. How do you get K through 12 to go? Listen to this. We reached out to our schools, and Dr. Reed, who is the superintendent of schools for Fairfax County. And by the way, please feel free to reach out to and I hope any of your listeners would reach out to any of these people that they want to reach out to, because I think they'd be more than happy to talk to them. So Dr. Reed, we approached Dr. Reed. We had her come to a strategic planning session for my board. When the session was over, she had some suggestions and we had some suggestions. And one of them was to help business get closer to schools and schools be more open to working with businesses. And there's all these safety issues and these requirements, and we wanted to make sure those were fulfilled. So we figured out a set of protocols working with her team and our team, and we started with a group of companies. So first, she identified 7 underserved schools in Fairfax County, and we started doing these what we call career showcases, where a company would come in and it would show the careers at their company. So for example, I'm Microsoft. I come in and I bring a team of 6 people. One of the persons is from the marketing department. I do marketing. This is the kind of thing that I do. I do all the whiz bang. I'm in the legal department. I'm the guy that's kind of dry, and I talk about law, and I deal with legal issues. And and I'm a technologist. I do programming. So we kind of went. So I'm using them as an example because they did one of the coolest things. So they had these 6 people. They talked about their careers, a little bit about their pathways, and then they did something to inspire the students. And these are 6th to 8th graders, by the way, in underserved schools. So they had these little programmable robots, and they showed them how to program the robots, and they showed them how to make the robots work together.
Wow.
Okay, I don't know about
a lot of
you,
fun.
Tamara.
Very cool.
That was cool. And if I was a kid, I would have been totally inspired. I would have been so excited. And Layla Maludi, who is the person that actually runs the K through 12, has been brilliant at this. They reached 1,000 kids the first year, working with about 35 companies. This year last year that was the first year. That was a year ago. This past year, this is the most recent year, we worked with about 70 companies, over 2,000 kids, and we're trying to grow that. We would like all the kids in the entire school system between 6th grade and 12th grade to get this experience, and then link them to mentors. And in other words, help them chart the pathways early. We invest so much in our kids in our region, and so do your listeners. They invest in kids in their region. Don't you want them to stay? Inspire them locally, show them locally. I'll mention this last thing about K through 12, and then I'll stop on the K through 12 and go to your other question, which I apologize for. Aisha Bowe, heard that name before? Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, she was on that rocket that went up with the. She was the only PhD on that rocket. Okay,
yep.
She has an incredible story. She went through community college. Did you know that?
I'm not sure if I did. And we've actually had her on the podcast, but I'm not sure I knew that. Wow.
That's where she started. Unbelievable story. And then finished her PhD. And she's been a rocket scientist. I mean, she's worked for NASA. My God. Anyway, she has a nonprofit. And the gentleman that works with her on this, that works for this nonprofit, approached us about possibly working together to get these kits, these little kits that they create, it's like a part of a satellite. That creates a signal, and we've been using these kits to educate the kids, and we've joint ventured with GDIT. GDIT pays for the kits; they're like $99. So GDIT pays for like 100 kits, and so we're able to deal with 100 kits. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're doing with companies now, bringing in these things to inspire them, hands-on as much as possible, and then as they go up scales. Think Big for Kids is the organization that we worked with. It's a national nonprofit. And Mike Batt, who helped design our entire talent program. Mike Batt is, unfortunately, he's retiring and headed down to Florida, but he's still going to be working on national Think Big for Kids. This organization has been doing this kind of work for years, and they helped us learn how to do this work. And they're available for any jurisdiction. So as far as I'm concerned, everything that I've just said, I hope is imitated, because there's going to be so much opportunity in front of us that we won't be able to grab it all. And we should, as a nation, be able to grab more of it.
Yeah. Victor, before you even go to my other question, I just have to say, I do want to meet Layla. SSPI WISE, which is Women in Space Engagement, has a STEM outreach working group. So I'd love to put them in connection with one another.
Great.
And I actually also want to know about the Think Big for Kids program, because my beloved child, who is not a child, he's a grown man, just became a teacher in the New York City public school system. And I would love to connect him to these opportunities for young people. So yeah. So all the things. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I am, honestly, when you get involved in this work, you just hope that the resources are there. I will say this: the chairman of my county board of supervisors, and every board member, there's 10 of them. They all voted to give us additional funding when I first arrived, to build this program. We did 6 months of research, and then we started creating this program. We would have not been able to build this program had there not been resources. And I can tell you right now, they've gotten more than their return on investment. We've helped over 14,000 veterans and their spouses find jobs in Northern Virginia. And we don't focus just on Fairfax County. We focus on all of Northern Virginia. And I'm looking forward to the day when we can focus. We're headed there. We're focused on the whole region. That's what talentcapital.ai is. So it is an exciting time to be involved in economic development, because it is evolving right along with industry. It is innovating just like our industry partners. It's finding new and creative ways to use technology, because we wouldn't be able to reach 17,000 companies if we didn't have technology. I mean, literally, we don't have enough people. So the reality is all of this is kind of interrelated, but it's one of the most exciting experiences I've had in my career. And I've had some really cool jobs, Tamara. I mean, I've done some really neat things in my life. I've worked in private equity on Wall Street. I was Secretary of Housing for the state of Maryland. I'm Deputy Mayor of Economic Development for DC. I did the Wharf. I did City Center. I did Shops of Dakotas. I did all these transformative projects in DC. Of course, I mentioned Amazon AQ2, but I've never done anything this exciting. Because this is how you grow the industries. This is how you build them. And I think that if people in economic development would just open up their aperture just a little bit more, and if the elected officials would be a little bit more flexible and allow them to do creative things and not punish them when a creative thing fails. Because I will tell you this, some things that we have tried, Tamara, have failed. Okay, I'm not going to list those because I'm not interested in reviewing those. but there was forgiveness. There was like, okay, what are you going to do now? Yes. Reevaluate, reposition, try again. And that's really, you have to allow us to do what companies do, what our companies do. I always tell people they should, if you haven't read a book and you're in economic development, if you're going to read one book, you should read Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. Unbelievable. Dr. Christensen does a brilliant job. God rest his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago. But he does a brilliant job of explaining why large companies fail and small companies eat their lunch. I mean, it's interesting. Kodak created the digital camera.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but
you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know it.
But who made the money off of it? Apple.
That's right.
And Apple was nothing when that camera was created. Apple was an idea. Apple was just starting its computer work. I mean, that was in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we in economic development, we in the government in general, we're a quasi-government agency, which gives us a lot of flexibility, but it really needs to be more flexibility in how we approach solving these problems for companies, because that's really our job. Our job is to solve the problem of the company, not be an impediment.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a thing, and I'm going to ask your forgiveness in advance. Mm-hmm. But I do have to do it because everybody who knows me knows that I'm going to. Okay, so that's my preface. So my name rhymes with camera, since you mentioned Kodak. So Tamara, camera. Victor.
Victor. Oh. Well, my name does not rhyme with a lot of things.
No, well, you actually have a name that I know, and like the majority of the world whose name is Tamara is in fact Tamara. My mother just had a whole different idea, and so I'm stuck with Tamara, and so.
Tamara. Okay, got it. Tamara. Gotcha.
And so, I apologize, but everybody who's listening to the podcast is going to say, when is she going to correct him? Because she surely corrected me. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming.
Well, thank you very much for the correction, Tamara. Sounds like Tamara.
Sounds like Tamara. Well, okay. I have one last question for you. We've covered so much, and you are such a dynamic interviewee, and I'm really glad that you're on the podcast. And I have a feeling that I'm going to want to engage with you on other things, like maybe some of our roundtables and things like that, just because you bring so much, first of all, energy and clarity to this process of thinking about success in a region economically. And I'm really very appreciative. When you think about being a member of SSPI, because you've taken that step, right? And it's a big step, right? Like I said, we've had relationships with economic development councils before. None of them have become, that's not true. We've had one relationship that actually where someone became a member, and they were a member for about a year. And so, and I think there was some challenges because they were not as blessed as you to be in a region where there was so much compact activity, where it was easy to make the relationships. But nevertheless, here you are. You're in a very blessed space, but you've also decided to strategically join SSPI to kind of raise the profile on an international stage. How would you like to do that? How would you like to engage with us and with our network?
Well, first we want to make sure that we attend conferences, because we want to meet people face to face. I mean, for us, relationships are everything. Economic development is really a relationship building, a bridge building business. We really want to focus on that. We'd really like to understand the challenges that the companies and organizations and institutions are having in their work every day, because those challenges are probably the same challenges our companies are having. We also want to bring our companies along as part of it. We will go to conferences to consume content, but in some cases we may be able to help bring content. But to us, all of this is just a process of really beginning to understand how to work together. We have relationships like this with other organizations that we've been working with for years. So it will probably pretty much run like that model, where it starts off with, a overall membership, but maybe some individuals may pick up specific specializations, because we do have specializations in our region and in Northern and in Fairfax in particular. And we'd like to dig deeper on those and help those groups grow their companies and solve their problems more. So for us, it's a process of learning as much as we can from SSPI, and then giving as much as we can to SSPI. And we believe in that exchange that there would be a kind of momentum that would build up. We also have offices overseas. We have offices in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Seoul, Korea, in Berlin, in UK, and in the foreign country of California. And and all of those offices also are doing what we're doing, which is building these relationships. And there may be opportunities where we can involve them. And ultimately, what we'd like to see is more of a global exchange. Right now, we do the Quantum World Congress, which is a conference that we do every year. We just had the fourth one. We had about 3,000 attendees over a 3-day period, 31 different countries. People who build quantum computers, people who build business use cases and are building product. We have people there who invest in academic institutions, as well as IBM and Amazon, all the Google, all the guys that are deep into the quantum research and quantum computing. So that has become a place for us to bring together 31 nations and to work with those nations more closely, which changes our relationship, honestly, with industry. And it gives us a broader view of industry, and it gives our industry a broader view of us. And it helps our people grow, and it helps us grow. So for us, it's all about this learning and growing process. And look, that's going to happen over years of time. So we expect to be around for quite a while.
Yeah, Victor, I just want to compliment you. I want to compliment you because space and satellite as an industry is inherently a global industry, right?
Yes.
And you can't think about it. You have to think locally, but if you don't have your eye on the international scope, you're missing the big picture, really, really missing it. And so I really want to commend you for having that view right from the outset. And I just want to let you know as well that we have chapters in the UK, we have a chapter in India, we have a chapter in the foreign country of California.
Oh, that's great.
So I will definitely make sure that you are in contact with all of them, because again, we want you to get the most out of your membership, and we want to grow with you, right? These are areas that, especially India, but also California, which is the industry in California is changing, right? And has changed. It used to be especially in Southern California, it used to be very, very rooted, similar to here in New York, to the broadcast industry. But broadcast doesn't rely on satellite as much anymore. So the industry has to change. And with it, the chapters have to change. So I'm looking forward to this collaboration and really, really, really excited that you guys are on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tamara.
Yeah, you did not. Okay.
I'm trying. Tamara, I'm going to get it right before we get off. Before we leave this call, Tamara, I'll get it right.
You done it right 3 times now. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. I feel quite accomplished. It's interesting. They didn't hear our beginning conversation about me seeing the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
But I'm a big trekker, and one of my prized treasures is actually a poster with the original crew all signed by them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Denise Nichols, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelly, the whole crew. Oh, this is so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Okay.
So cool.
Yeah. And so this is the second time I'm being jealous now.
I know I'm being nerdy, but I'll tell you something. That fascination with space started so long ago, and it has never gone away. And it is the most exciting thing that I'm doing right now. And it's such a big industry, and it's such an opportunity for our kids. And we will need everybody going forward. It is not we're not going to have enough labor supply to fill the jobs that we're going to create.
You're absolutely right. I am a fan of the original series. I watched it in college, and actually growing up, I watched it.
Cool.
But I have to share that my favorite of all the Trek series was Deep Space Nine, and it was the oddest of all of them. Right? It's so unlike all of the rest of them. But
yes.
But what I love about Deep Space Nine and this conversation that we're having is that Deep Space Nine was set on a space station where regular old people would come and go.
Yes.
And so when you think about what is the space industry, what that particular series said is everything is the space industry.
Yep.
Without exception. Everything. Right?
Yep.
Like we're gonna have quarks, bar in space and
right. Exactly. And I didn't mean to go off on that, but really it's what really makes us so exciting. I'm glad that I was happy to see your backdrop. That was really exciting for me. Thank you.
I'm glad you brought it up. So thank you. Well, listen, I think that's the end of the conversation from my end. Did you have a question for me or did you want to just throw something out there to the industry before we close?
Well, I will say for the industry, for the economic development industry as it relates to space, I said earlier what I thought they could do that would help them at least organize their thinking and see if there's any opportunity, mapping those assets, and then really contacting some of those companies and seeing if they're having any challenges. That is a great start point, and I would encourage all of them to think about how they work with talent at their universities, how they work with talent that is in their system that may want to be reskilled and upskilled, because economic development organizations in the past have really focused on real estate transactions, industrial, commercial, office. That's kind of has been our focus, and that's That's the larger economic. I'm not talking about locally serving commercial, which is our boutiques, our service, our legal services, our dental services, all the things that we consume. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the more traded economy, the one that's the one that actually builds your overall economy. That's the part that I'm talking to those guys. They have such an opportunity. They just don't know it yet, and I hope that they take a step. And they may learn that from your organization. So I would encourage them to join.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And with that, Victor, once again, and to the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, welcome to the SSPI community. This podcast is made possible by the support of SSPI's professional, student, and corporate members. We are especially grateful for our corporate partners, Access Intelligence, producers of Via Satellite Magazine, the law firm of Clyde & Company, Hughes and EchoStar Company, the American Space Exploration Fund, and QVIA. To learn more about SSPI and our Space and Satellite Futures campaign, visit sspi.org and follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and X. New episodes of the SSPI podcast, including The Better Satellite World, Space and Satellite Futures, and She Reaches Women in Space, are released every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, or really wherever you get your podcasts. New this year, we are also on YouTube, and so you can subscribe at SSPI Video, all one word. For SSPI and our producer, Ari Yates, I'm Tamara Bond-Williams. And for our new members at Fairfax County Economic Development Authority, and for the people and companies building a space and satellite future worthy of our highest aspirations, thank you for all you do.